Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to go over setting up a virtual machine environment using Vagrant. Vagrant is a tool for building and managing virtual machine environments. It allows you to lower the amount of time spent setting up your local development environment, and it makes it works on my machine excuse a thing of the past, because basically you can configure a virtual machine environment, pack it, and send it to the rest of your group so they all have access to the same configuration of the virtual machine. So let's get started. First, you're going to want to download some prerequisite software. So if you're on a Windows machine, I highly recommend downloading Git for Windows. This includes the standard Git version control software, and also brings Git Bash, which is what we're going to be using for this installation. We also need VirtualBox. Just download whichever operating system you're currently running and follow the default preferences in the installation guide. And then, of course, you're going to need to download Vagrant. The same thing applies here. Download whichever package corresponds to your operating system. Follow the default preferences in the installation wizard, and you should be good to go. So once that's all done, you're going to want to create a directory for your Vagrant virtual machines. So in this case, I created some folders in my documents folder. I created a Vagrant VM, and for this video I created a Ubuntu vid. So once you created and set up your structure for your Vagrant virtual machines, you're going to want to look for the box that corresponds to whatever virtual machine you want to start setting up. So you can go to app.vagrantup.com/boxes/search. Here they have a variety of virtual machines and operating systems that you can start. Some of them are already pre-configured. They were uploaded by different users. In this case, we're going to be using Ubuntu Trustee 64, which is just the basic OS 14.04.5. So let's get started. So I navigated to my folder, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do Vagrant box add. In this case, the name of the box folder file, is Ubuntu/Trustee 64. Ubuntu Trustee 64. So this is gonna download the files we need to get started. Okay, then we're gonna run Vagrant init Ubuntu/Trustee 64. If you look at the directory, that command actually added a Vagrant file, and this is kind of like a configuration file. This is your first time setting up or using Vagrant. You don't want to really edit much, but since I've used it before, my machine is pre-configured to run and listen on a different port. So here I need to forward my 8080 port to the virtual machine's 80 port, and I also want to set up a private network off this IP. This will allow me to access the virtual machine's network via this IP in the browser. So I'm going to save this file, and then we're going to do Vagrant up. That's going to start off. That's going to start our virtual machine. So you can see VM's being booted. Software. You're gonna need to install VirtualBox Guest Editions. If you haven't installed that, once this finishes, I'll show you the command to install it. Okay, so if you don't have the Vagrant VirtualBox Guest Editions plugin, you can do Vagrant plugin install Vagrant -vb guest, and if the installation comes out with any errors that have to do with guest editions, just run that command. Reload your Vagrant box by running Vagrant reload. So this was just basically a reboot. That'll reboot your box, bring it back up. It'll import any new configurations that you made in the Vagrant file and any new plugins you added to the Vagrant software. So there it is. So now if you want to actually go into the virtual machine, you're going to run Vagrant SSH. That's going to connect you into your virtual machine. And there it is. So here you can navigate different places. And you're actually in your virtual machine, which is being managed by Vagrant. So now we can, but to exit, you can use exit. There's a lot of other neat stuff you can do. There is something called synced folders in Vagrant, which allow you to sync a directory in your local computer to a different directory in the actual virtual machine. So I'm actually going to show you in another one of my virtual machines this in action. First off, I need to let's turn off the current virtual machine. We're going to run Vagrant halt, and that'll power down the VM. So here in my other Vagrant environment, I have my folder synced up. It's not this one, it's right here. So I have my folder synced up. This is pointing to a local repository of code, and it's pointing to the Nginx HTML folder in my virtual machine. So now I'm going to show you how that works. So I'm going to go into that folder. I'm going to start up the virtual machine. Machine's booted up. It's going to sync the files up now. Here you go. Sync the files from my local computer into the virtual machine. So now if I connect to the virtual machine, you'll see that I can navigate to that path. And you'll see that the code's there, so we can start up the node server. And then because we set up that private network, we can navigate to the IP that was specified, and we actually connect to the localhost server that's running the web server that's running the code right now. And that's the beauty of Vagrant. You're able to work on your code locally on your computer, sync it up to the virtual machine, run it, see the changes, and then continue working on your local machine. It also allows you to configure the environment. You can package up the virtual machine and send it to your group members. If you guys want to read more about the things you can do with Vagrant, you can go to www.vagrantup.com/docs. And here it goes over everything from installation to setting up synced folders, plugins, creating boxes to share. And that's about it. Thank you for watching.